Good afternoon, beautifuls. So today I'm going to do a video on trauma. This could be childhood trauma, it could be trauma throughout your life from any incident, and I'm going to go into depth about what that is. My insides have been screaming at me to post this video today, so today's the day I'm doing it. I think it was last week I did the emotions video, so that was about your emotions and how to feel them and what they are. This is about trauma, and obviously these videos are going to follow on from each one. But yeah, like I say, today is going to be about trauma, so let's talk about trauma. So trauma. Right, so trauma is any incident that stems from your childhood to adulthood, but it keeps showing up in your life today. And we'll get further up into that. I keep looking down at my book and I've got loads of notes on this. So people think trauma has to be something major. You know, like well, let's just say people seem to think trauma has to be something major, because I'm going to go through what they are. But it's not. Don't get me wrong, some people have had really traumatic experiences and my heart goes out to them, because it is awful, and it will be awful for them to carry around and be stuck in that loop of the cycle of the trauma. And maybe the reason that I'm posting these videos is because I've been on my own self-healing journey. So it's to really raise awareness around what these things are. And then you can go forward with the intention to heal yourself. So for some, the trauma might just be the way a parent looks at you, the way, you know, you might get bullied at school. It might be something that somebody said to you and the stern look they give you. It could show up in your life in things of like, you know, you've maybe grown up in a domestic abuse household. Maybe you've been on the receiving end of domestic abuse. Maybe you have been physically or sexually assaulted. Like I say, it could be through bullying, it could be through narcissistic people. It could be from emotional, unavailable parents. It shows up in so many ways, and there's obviously people who are in different situations that I've seen. Like trauma could be your child dying, it can be, you know, one of your friends dying, a loved one dying. It could be people who have got post-traumatic stress disorder, and that is like really at the high end of the spectrum for the trauma, you know, and that must be absolutely awful for people living with that. You know, so that's basically what trauma is. And how to know if you've dealt with the trauma and healed from the trauma is another issue. Because if them traumas are still affecting you today, so they can be showing up in your life, like in your relationships, they can be, you've been triggered, like I used to get a lot of triggering. It can be, you know, there's lots of things. People will individually know if they're being triggered, but I've just give examples on, you know, you're scared to do stuff because you've maybe been in an environment or something that you've not felt safe. So it's just things like that. So if it's showing up in your life and in your relationship, or it's affecting you today and you know it's related to trauma, maybe you're not aware, maybe this video might even bring some awareness to you, which would be absolutely amazing, then it's still showing up and it's still affecting you. Now, me personally, I highly recommend energy healers, rebalancing your chakra, releasing the energy and letting go. Now, therapists and counsellors are good, but only if they give you the correct tools to, and this is just my personal opinion, only if they give you the correct tools to help you release the energy. Now, if not, I highly recommend you invest in an energy healer, 100%. And this is hopefully something that I want to work towards, because I absolutely love it. And it would be so nice to help people heal from traumatic situations in their life. So yeah, do go see an energy healer. Try it. Just try it. Might not be for you. You know, you might be gaining out your therapy sessions, whatever. And can I also just say, I'm not a medical professional at all. If you are struggling with anything, please do consult a doctor or seek medical professional help. This is just from my own journey and what I'm learning. So yeah, so trauma is something, it can be something major, or it can be something just as small as a scolding look from a parent, or something that just sticks with you today, and you know it is deep down, you know it's affecting your life. You may be not aware of this yet until we get into that. So yeah, I'm just reading my notes, sorry. So let's go into the other things then. So, I'm just going to say it because everybody knows my upbringing wasn't, I wouldn't say not the best, because that sounds really harsh, but for a child, it wasn't a safe environment. Now, along comes with that, you know, when you grow up in domestic violence households and stuff, or your parents are not emotionally and mentally available for you, this just sounds quite harsh, and it's not harsh, because I don't hold them accountable for that, because at the end of the day, they were doing what they thought was best at that time, and yeah, they just did what they could do to get by every day. So that's that. But the issues that can come along with that as a child, that affects the child, because all that environment it affects the child. Now, yesterday, because I'm on my own journey, I watched a really interesting video about, they did experiments with babies that was probably about a year old, where the parent, to see how they would play socially and interact with parents that was engaging with them, parents that disengaged, and children that came from backgrounds where they didn't have parents. And it was so interesting, because there was a lady sat with the baby on a knee. The child was happily playing, wasn't fearful, just pottering along, happy, obviously had a happy environment, well-balanced environment. A lady came in, because obviously this was an experiment, and you can see these videos on YouTube. A lady came in and she had a really angry voice. So she was like talking angrily. Well, the child put the toys down and sat and just literally was staring at the lady all the time, because the child then felt unsafe. And the child didn't play with the toys. It sat literally in fight or flight mode, because the child felt unsafe from such a young age. That when then the lady was saying, all right, she's gone now. So then the lady got up and went out. The child then relaxed and then was playing with the toys. So that child picked up on that person's angry energy, behaviour from such a young age. And then there was other children who literally from that age who had no parents and no interactions, maybe went through the care system, didn't even touch the toys because the child was too busy, not even at a year old, I'm going to say around 9 months to a year old, literally was scanning that room, checking for safety. Now, do you see how much that has a massive impact on a child? Now, if these behaviours continue, and this is not calling out any bad parents or whatever, this is literally like to make people aware of trauma and how it affects us, and then we take it through into our adulthood, and then we can pass it on to our children and so on, you know. So, like, me, my father didn't have nothing to do with me. Fair enough. I'm not, You know, I don't have any resentment or whatever. I forgive people for my life because I've done the healing on myself. Now, that can show up as an abandonment wound. You know, like feels left out as a child, fears being left on their own, or feels being left. These obviously then go into adulthood. You know, you can be with a partner and you're scared to death that they're going to leave you. You're obsessing that they're going to leave you. Codependent relationships. Hates being alone. Threatens to leave all the time. There's the guilt wound that feels sorry or bad. Doesn't like to ask for things because they're independent, because they're used to doing things for themselves. Uses guilt to manipulate people and is afraid to set boundaries, and often then leads to a people pleaser all the time. Then you get trust wounds. You know, people get afraid to be hurt. Finds ways not to trust people because they're always thinking back to that scenario. Feels insecure and needs a lot of external validation. So you're not happy within yourself. So you're constantly seeking that, whether that be stuff you post for likes, whatever. You know, constantly saying, is that okay? Am I doing okay? Sorry. That you're constantly seeking validation from people because you're not stepping into your true authentic self, because your emotions are not regulated. So you're literally constantly in fight or flight mode. You don't feel safe. You know, then there's neglect wound, struggles to let things go. You repress your emotions. You know they're there, but you don't want to deal with it. So you repress your emotions. Has low self-worth, gets angry easy, fears being vulnerable and struggles to say no. Now, they're all issues that come with... a lot of this does come from childhood, not going to lie. But if you're aware of this, then you can change that around to work on that. Because, honestly, it does... Before this... it showed up in my life a lot. People would only have to say something to me in a certain tone. And obviously I grew up in a not so nice environment. So people would say something to me in a certain tone. And that was it. Fight or flight mode. Safety. I need to be safe to protect myself. So then I would literally fly off the handle. That's how I was triggered all the time. And it went up into my adulthood with my kids, because I didn't want that environment with my kids. But then it made me overprotective, which has probably made my own kids, really, by me being too overprotective, is not to maybe, you know, express their self enough. Or it will have had, my childhood will have had some effect on my kids by me being too overprotective. But that now, we can work on that, because now I've obviously done all the inner work myself and getting more aware of it. I will know where I've gone wrong with them, for them to heal and get better from that. So it's called breaking the ancestral trauma line, which is great, innit? So in your home upbringing as well, you know, the father role is supposed to be the one that is the protector, the purpose, the one of the purpose, the leader, boundaries, the one who does the money, like makes money, the stability, the authority of the household. And the mum is like the nurturing one, the caring, the creative, and all that. So that's how they show up in your life. So obviously for me, for father and protector, that was gone. You know, that did come with a lot of things. For in my relationship, it showed up in codependency and fear of abandonment and stuff, which I've dealt with that now. And Steve won't mind me saying this, 9 months ago, this is where this journey started from. We went through a rocky patch, and, you know, I was literally broken and felt like I needed him. But something sparked to me with that. Do you know what? I'll be okay on my own. And this is how it triggered me, because we spoke about it. And there was things that I probably wasn't so nice about the way I went about everything. You know, I've apologised for all that. But that was because I was unhealed, and everything just comes to the surface. I was triggered by that. I felt a threat, fear who's going to leave me, or all that. But now I'm good either way, because I've worked on myself. I know who I am. I stand true to myself, and everything's always working out for me, and I will always be okay. So that's that. So that's about the father things. Sorry, this is a bit mumbledy-jumbledy, because like I say, it was screaming at me to do it today, my inside, so I've come on and I've done it. But when we grow up in a family dynamic, it's like having people on a pedestal. Your mum and your dad, you want to feel safe as a child, so it's then comes in with the, it's not them, because they're doing everything to keep me safe. It's me. I'm broken. I'm damaged. I must have caused this behaviour. You take on that, and that is shame. And shame makes you feel like there's something broken inside you, or there's something wrong with you. And that's when you can grow up and be emotionally or energy. It's like growing up emotionally or physically with, you withdraw from that energy, because we internalize that as though we're broken and there's something wrong with us. But in reality, there's nothing wrong with us. They just did the best they could at that time. But we are not at fault, or you're not at fault. And if you grew up in that environment, just know that it's always been like a family pattern thing of people growing up, an ancestral trail, if you want to. So yeah, and like the abandonment issues and the codependency fear is like a mum or a dad dynamic that left the situation. So all these then, so it's really funny, because all these issues that you go over, you tend to pick partners or whatever, or environments that make you feel like that, because to you that's safe. It's just how, it's what you've dealt with. And until you heal that and heal them issues, you're not gonna feel safe. And this is again why I've worked on chakras and stuff, because for me, I've energy healed. I've been energy healed. So I've all them emotions and that now, I don't hate anybody. I've sought forgiveness and sent love to them, because like I say, at the end of the day, they was only doing what they knew best at that time. And like I say, I've projected some of that, if you like, onto our kids, because I've been way too overprotective on ours. But that can be restored. So just know that if you've had any trauma issues, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And if these show up anywhere in your life, you can heal from them. So like your abandonment issues are your 3 bottom chakras, your root, your sacral and your solar plexus. They're ones that mega need healing. And then from there you go into your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown chakra. And sometimes we can close off to love and stuff and close our heart chakra down as well, depending what trauma you've been through. So it's nice to be able to open your heart back up truly to love. And empaths, a lot of people who've been through this sort of behaviour and stuff can turn into empaths, because you become a people pleaser, and from a young age, because you've had to scan the room and to feel safe and know what's going on, you feel other people's energy. And narcissistic people, they're just all about themselves, what they're going to gain from it, and that's awful, and I hope they heal. So normally, like I say, we choose people who feel familiar to sort of abandon ourselves again. So just wait 1 minute while I read this. So like, again, the key to abandonment issues is like codependency and being in a relationship or any environment that you feel feels familiar, because familiar and family is very much the same. So you need to stop focusing on the locus control and being controlled by something external. You know, bring your own energy back to yourself and stop abandoning yourself. And this is where self-healing comes into play. That once you start doing this work on yourself that ailed you, you need to do... it's quite sad because you need to literally mourn over that person who you're no longer going to be. And this is like really expressing the person who you should have been originally, but you suppress all your emotions and everything. It's like when you say to a child, you should be seen and not heard. I don't like that saying, because that is then shutting them down from expressing themselves vocally, saying what they want to say. So then that will come out into their adulthood, where they maybe stay quiet within themselves because they daren't say anything, because they was always told children should be seen and not heard. So just think about that if you use that phrase with your kids. So when you have the shame of, oh, this is happening because it's my fault, because obviously my parents will keep me safe and all that, that's when you come into the you don't feel worth. You have very low self-worth of yourself, and you people please. You tend to put the bar high, that you try to be perfectionist all the time. So yeah, because you feel failure, because you feel like you need to be the best all the time. When you can't trust, you need to control. So then some relationships can come a bit controlling because you've had trust issues. So then you start saying to your partners or whatever, you're not going here, you're not going there, you're not doing that, who are you talking to? You want to control the outcome because you've suffered some form of trust issues. So again, that's showing up for you today. So becoming aware of all these situations lets you be in control, because then when you become aware, you get to then choose to take the intention to work on healing yourself. And like I say, for me, energy healing, brilliant. It's great because you let go of the energy. So when narcissistic people are around, they turn down their feelings, because narcissists don't feel other people's energy. They've turned it down, the feelings, in order to feel safe, because they only want what feels, they only want their own needs met. That's all they look out for themselves. They only want the needs met. And empaths turn up their energy because of the complete opposite. They want to help people. You know, it shows up in any form of trauma like that. Just shows up. It does show up. And if you were a person that has managed to go through life with none of these issues that you've ever had, if you've had trauma not show up, then that's absolutely brilliant. So the process, so then that's when you need to, when you start healing, then you will start stepping into your individuation, which is you start living life for you, not for other people, because all you're doing is robbing yourself. You're robbing yourself by not being in your true authentic self, because it's like we say to our kids, oh, you know, you need to go off and get a 9-to-5 job. You need to go be a lawyer or whatever. You need to go do this. We're then basically saying to our kids, well, we don't accept you if you don't do them, because that's the norm. But just let them be who they want to be. And setting, like I say, intention. Intention is good. Like, you know, intention is good. And people think tension or being in a tension area is bad, but tension isn't bad, because tension makes you grow. It's like if you know, you need to put yourself in that tension to be able to grow more. It promotes growth. So always set the intention. And even if you do find an energy healer, which they'll probably tell you, when you go in, they might even set the intention from you that you heal from whatever that is that you need to be healed from. So if your parents don't accept you for who you are, then that's on them. That's not you. Let them learn to accept it or deal with that, because by you not stepping into your true self, you're being fake. And then you start seeking validation and stuff because you're not being your true authentic self. And you don't need anyone's validation in your life. Just start showing up as who you truly are. So yeah, I hope this helps. Sorry it was a bit rambly-jambly going on because, like I say, I was trying to do my Reiki meditation and it was just like, you need to get this video done, you need to get this video done. So obviously, I've done the video. It's from a place of love, from my heart, no malice or anything like that, because like I say, our parents only did what they could for us at that time by the best way they knew how. That is it. And making people aware of all this is really good. And also, I would just like to say, if anyone's new parents or becoming a parent or whatever, please just watch this and think about this. And if you are having children or have got children, then please don't let your past and your childhood really rob your child. And that sounds awful to say, but how you show up from your past is going to show up in you for your child. So hopefully no one takes any malice or badness to this, because it all comes from a place of love, because learning to step into your true authentic self and heal from them traumas is only going to make you shine brighter and be the true person who you should have been in the first place. So have a blessed day, everyone. Peace, love and light. Donna.